We're really lucky right now to have Mr. Raymond Storm sit down with us. And hey, how long have you been coming to this conference?
Well, I've been on the AESA school board 16 years. I've probably been coming to them for 13, 14.
Wow.
But I was on the local board 12 years before that, and I never came to this convention, but I always went to any other I could go to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what have you seen change? How's it changed over those 13 years?
Well, the public today don't seem to want to educate our kids.
Doesn't seem like it, does it?
Corporate greed's taken over, and that's part of it. And public education as a whole bothers me because of the less money we get for education.
Sure.
And I'm awful afraid if something don't change, we'll be to the point where the people that have money will have an education, the ones that don't want.
Yeah.
And then what are you going to do?
Right.
My family come over in 1662, and they were common people, but they're educated because they had a higher up people, good friends of them.
Sure.
And his kids was educated, and his kids, and him and his kids always thought everybody should have an education. So, consequently, they educated my original family. I mean, as such, in 1662. And so when they came over here, of course, they was the only educated people on the boat, per se. And any church or any history or anything they wanted track of, they're the ones that had to write it or be the town constable or collect the money or tax it or what have you.
Yeah.
And so I guess you could say we've always been on the education side as such. And it's odd in as much as I read a story once where it said that if you're on a school board, it's 99% chance that some of your elders was on one also.
I'm sorry, 99% chance.
That some of your elders had been on a school board also.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know, somebody's got to do it, and a lot of these boards anymore needs to have younger people on, but the younger person don't have the time to get off from work to be a member as such.
That's what I meant.
So that falls back on us older people, which we may have the time, we may not have the time, but we may not have the money, and we may have the money. But it's something that we got to look out for in the future, because the future is the education of the young people.
Yes.
And if they're not educated, we'll soon become a country without a future.
Well, when you think this organization, AESA, pretty good group of folks.
Yeah. They're in it for the good of the children. Our younger.
Yeah, I think that's our last stronghold is our education service centers around the country, so that if public education gets attacked, at least we know our service centers might be there to be our secondary backup for education.
Yeah. So, but no, it's just something somebody's got to do, and it needs to be done, and so some of us got to do it.
So, what do you see for the future? What's your wishes that we would change as a country, and change as citizens, to make sure that we make this happen? We change our kids now, and we make sure that our future kids get a better education.
Well, they always want to cut funding to education for some reason, and seemingly the quote generation now does not want to educate the younger people.
Yeah.
And the older generation, but my parents or me, I'm on the tail end of it. And education is very important.
Yes.
And today, quote, the average person don't feel education is important.
Yeah.
It could stem from 2 or 3 different reasons. Their problems they had trying to get an education at school, so they don't feel friends of education. And And part of it just the attitude of the people.
Yeah.
And, okay, fire away.
Yeah. Do you think, what's interesting about education? My dad has a high school education, but he's a working man. He owns a large body shop, and he put two of us through college and postgraduate work, and has done quite well for our entire family, and has pushed education constantly.
Yeah.
But he knew early on that he was a vocational man, but he understood that he still had to do the business of his work. I think that's something that we're missing in education now is, you might want to be a plumber or a carpenter because Lord knows we need that infrastructure in this country, but you still got to have that education behind you to be learned, to know that you can make sure the government's not getting you on your taxes and making sure that you're handling your books correctly. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, as such, but I'll tell you what, when I got out of school, all I wanted to do was farm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did. Well, I went broke doing it, but I started over again. But the idea then when I got out of school was to go to a book college. And what I call a book college is a college that studies books.
Mm-hmm.
No hands-on stuff. Well, since I graduated, they got all these technology schools or community colleges or schools that teach you hands-on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big percentage of students that come out of school that was never made to go to a book college.
Right.
And they should have a full education, which they should be into these technology schools to get further educated.
Yeah.
And people are beginning to wake up to that fact now here in later years that not everybody's cut out for a book college.
That's exactly right. And that it's okay that everybody's not cut out from book college.
That's what made this world the way it is now.
That's exactly right.
The difference in the people.
Yeah.
And once you get through the shell or curtain or whatever in diversity, the more common everybody is.
Yes.
It's that first impression of diversity that confuses everybody.
Yeah, that's exactly
And
right.
I happen to be one that always wear overalls,
Yeah.
and most everybody else wears blue jeans or whatever. And we were talking, a bunch of us, about this diversity. And I bring up the idea. I said, I'll tell you what, I put overalls on every morning, one leg at a time. I said, you put blue jeans on every morning, one leg at a time. Once we get our overalls and blue jeans on, we're out here working for education.
Right.
I said, yes, it's very diverse in the beginning because of the way we dress. But the original goal outcome we want to achieve is education, or be it whatever.
Right.
And me being an old country boy, there's so many things that goes on or went on in this world that I just thought took place. I didn't realize diversity in it. It was just, when I grew up, it was just, yes, it was diverse, but you didn't realize that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you get all these diehards that come along and want to argue about something all the time. You begin to wake up the fact it never was the same. I mean, the same. It just, once you got through that outer shell, the more common you are.
Yeah. Well, I think a big part of the problem in education and in general is that, I don't know, it just seems that fewer and fewer people are willing to get past whether you're wearing, overalls or blue jeans or three-piece suit or whatever it is, or what color your skin is, or what religion you are. And they don't want to go any deeper than that. That's it. Here's the surface, and this is where I'm going to hit you at. And once you get, like you said, if we would get past that, then we could get to the meat of what needs to happen.
And lost my train of thought, but anyway.
Jennifer Tiller, she one of the presenters here, she stopped by yesterday and she made a really good point. And I've heard it before and I always forget to, probably need to tattoo it on my arm so I can remember it. But she said, I try to listen to people and understand what they're saying instead of wasting my brain time trying to find a way to rebut them. And it's exactly what you're talking about. We're the same. Let's just try to understand each other. I've been on a kick lately about citizenship, civics, and social studies, and knowing our role in this country and helping the kids understand how to be productive citizens.
And the society today has no feeling for the other person in the commodity of give and take.
Yeah, that's exactly
Sharing
right.
or whatever.
Right.
And that has created big problems in the mainstream of the United States. Is not knowing that there's two sides of a story.
Yes.
And you may think that you're the only side. Once you hear the other side and you give it a little thought, why, there's two sides to every subject and everything there is, no matter what.
Yeah.
And
How do you feel? What's your thoughts on the federal government's involvement in education, the state's involvement in education, and the local, say a town's involved in its school's education?
well, it all stems from money.
Yeah.
And it stems from money with the problem of them creating more stuff that we have to do, the legislature, without funding. So you don't have the funds, but you got to do this, so then you have to cut this.
Yeah.
And which shouldn't be cut because that's part of your program. But you just can't keep going and going without money to do it. And the education, the money of the education of the student is the future of the United States,
That's exactly right.
or of any country. So,
Yeah, it's funny thinking about what's going to happen with Cuba now and its big change. Now that education might become even more important to them because it was heavily controlled by Castro. Yeah, it's going to change a lot. I think they'll take our lead on it, and we'll see a more democratic education society.
well, they're close enough to the United States that they know you can stand on one ocean side and the other side and then haul across what's taking place. If you're good at hearing or hollering. And so they're close enough to us that I think that they'll pick up a bunch of our
I think so too.
program and stuff.
I hope to see the U.S. and Cuba, because there's a lot of opportunity for our educators to go there and help them out also.
Yeah. So,
You said about farming. My wife's family they're rice farmers in eastern Arkansas, and that's the technology. It's become an educated man's job to farm.
oh yeah.
GPS tractors and
Yep.
the way they spray the fields and running those rice buggies during when they build all those levees and everything. It's amazing. I've never seen anything like it.
Well, you get a program. They go out and test your field every 100 feet or something like that. And come back with the test results. Then they got a little QB thing. I work for a co-op. Got a little QB thing they plug in the machine, and the whole field will call for X amount of fertilizer. But this part might only need 100 pounds. This might need 200, only 100 feet apart. And that damn machine will go down there and spread 200 on this patch and 100 over here.
Yeah.
And just that little tiny thing they plug into that little box.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I think that's interesting about that. I get a lot of students that are hands-on kids. They're not book learners. But then I try to make them think. They start thinking about that stuff, and I say, but somebody's got to develop that idea. Somebody that's hands-on's got to be a book learner. Maybe it's you. You can go out and develop that better sprayer, or develop that better, cattle injector. Because that's one of those other things. I've seen these folks using drones to herd cattle.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Whoever thought?
I'm stupid. I mean,
One of
Or
my
even for say fly over and see you got plants are dying in one little area in your field. You know.
and they report back.
Yep.
One of my former students is in Wyoming, and he is in charge of about 80,000 acres of land that they don't let any vehicles on. It's all horseback. But his guys are all, thousands of miles apart. But they run these drones that check the perimeters of the park and check on the buffalo and all this. I've just never seen anything like it.
Yep.
But there's the thing I think we're forgetting that we got to teach in our schools is that, somebody's got to be a lawyer for farmers, and
Yep.
somebody's got to be that rural doctor.
Yep.
We were just talking to a young man from Alaska.
Yeah.
We still need those things out here in
yeah.
Alaska.
Yeah. And that's the diversity of our workforce is a different job that is out there that we need.
That's right.
But you also need these other guys to do what these guys are try to get you figured out to do.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
So,
But, and that's where we're seeing the money cut right there is vocation. We're seeing our money getting cut from, we have, luckily at our school, we have a Briggs, we have a Briggs and Stratton small engine program at our school.
yeah,
Oh, dropped his soda can.
I wouldn't drink that for a while.
But yeah, Briggs and Stratton, they didn't have that when I was in school. I'd have loved to know how to fix my lawnmower back.
yeah,
or my
Yeah.
tiller.
yeah. But it's just like, back in the 80s when everything's hard, I started a welding shop.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a raise. And my boy just graduated out of the tech school.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a program on machinist. So I took a night course on it, but I couldn't sharpen my lathe to get it to do what I wanted, the bits on it to get it to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So we goes up there every night. We start there and he said, first thing you gotta do is take your wing off. Well, my wing is glued in my fingers a damn hard. He said, that's gotta come off. He said, you can't work with a lathe with that wing. Well, we greased it up, soaked it up, soaked, and what have you. Finally it come off. It took a bunch of hide with it. And anyway, we goes on. Second night we was up there, he said, we're gonna have to take a test on this. I said, what do you mean? Well, he said, take a written test. I said, I'll fail it. So in a couple of weeks, you're gonna have to get that test took. He said, it's an open book test. We open the book and write the answers down. I said, I'll fail it. He said, how come, and we took it finally, and I failed it. He said, how come you can go out there on that darn lathe and do anything you want to do, but you can't take a test and pass it on the same thing? That's where I'm not a book person.
That's
I'm a
right.
hands-on.
Yeah.
And so that's it's just a funny, crazy thing. And it's nice that people ain't all book people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
We finally see that in education. I wonder when we finally opened our eyes and realized that,
well, I'd say in the 60s.
Mhm.
In the 60s, I think probably if you say that they finally woke up that there's tech schools for some people and book schools are for other people.
Yeah.
And I got to high school, country school, never done no high school. And then in today's age, a person needs something besides just a 12th grade diploma.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's too much of a transition between coming right out of school and going into the workforce.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need a year or two in there to kind of calm down and get activated into the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
And be at college, tech school or something for that 1 year, or what you think you might want to accomplish in life. And if it ain't what you want, then do something else.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And don't waste 2 years or 3 years of valuable time of doing something that you don't like doing.
Yeah. Well, and I think we still see, well, in a weird sort of way, we kind of see both sides of that. You'll see some folks, they come out of whatever it is, whether it's right out of high school or they go off to college and they come out of college and they go into a field that, they know a year or two into that, this is not what they want to do,
Yeah.
but they stay with it anyway for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Why on earth would you want to do that? On the other hand, you also, students today, kids today, back when we were growing up or we were interviewing for a job or something, they'd say, well, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And of course, back then the ideal answer was, oh, I'm going to be right here working with you. Today, you ask a kid where he sees himself in 10 years, and he's like, oh, I don't know, I'll have 4 or 5 jobs, and exactly.
Yep. It's a surplus country when it comes to somebody occupying a job for very long.
Right.
And what gets me is they can quit a job today and have another tomorrow, not even know that job existed today.
Yeah. We see that a lot.
So,
I think you're talking about needing that little time between getting out of school before you jump in the workforce. I have a lot of my kids, my former students, and my college roommate, they went into the military. And that was exactly that perfect transition to get into, out of that schooling into, working. And understanding your role and your loyalty. I think there's that key word is loyalty to, I think it's okay to change your mind about what you're going to do, but when you're working or when you're doing education, it's the loyalty to your craft and to what you're doing. That's one of my, so how do you know Kevin Honeycutt?
well, I tell you, I've known Kevin since I think he ever had any association with education as such.
Yeah.
And which I don't know how long it's been. 15, 20 years. And he had presented at a lot of our Iowa meetings and stuff. And our AEA has a summer program of getting the teachers to get to know everybody and such, and he had presented at a lot of them. And the first time I ever met him, he'd come in this room, had this going at a computer. I mean, it wasn't little or something like that size. He's talking along and all this and that, and all of a sudden he just put that up to his ear like this and starts playing a song. And then change it from piano to a drum. And that fascinated me so because I always liked music, and to get that kind of a sound out of a crazy box like that. And so ever since then I've been, I guess you say, good friends with him. I think I'm a friend. Anyway, we always pat each other on the back.
That's right.
I don't think Kevin meets anybody that's not his friend. Really, he's just one of the nicest guys you could ever know.
And I knew that he grew up in hard times, and I never knew how hard until the pup gave me one of his books a year. Here, take this. And so I took that home and started reading that. And our family was hard up like his, but different atmosphere.
Sure.
Our family didn't alcohol or nothing, but we just hard up farmers. Dad was figuratively speaking an orphan. His aunt and uncle raised him, and they had money, but the Surtees come along and they loaned a bunch of that money to friends, and they lost it per se. Well, and Dad got married, and they had his first wife and him had 4 children. First one had to have a funeral for him, and then next thing you know, you had to have a funeral for his first wife, and then he married Mom and had to have a funeral for my first sibling, and then before too long had to have a grandchild funeral, and then of course all this time his stepdad and Mom died, and doctor bills after doctor bills and what have you. When I went through his stuff after he passed away, there was ticket after ticket where he'd pay 3 cents, 4 cents, 5 cents on a bill for Saturday night. Whatever was left over from egg money, as they call it, he'd pay on that bill. And all this time, making a living for the family and stuff, and acquiring ground, and the hardships that he had to go through. Because, like I say, his parents died in Nebraska, and he was the youngest one of all the siblings. And But back then, he didn't have no place to go other than just family, and
Yeah.
he had 2 or 3 sisters that lived in that same town, and one of them had several children and not much money, and the other one had a little money but is alcoholic. And he would start out maybe going to stay at one place one night, and maybe this drunk would come home and run him out.
Yeah.
Well, there he was out in the street. Well, he'd go to the next sister, and they'd probably already ate. And so there he was, a kid with nothing to eat, growing up, and he was fastly becoming a thief to survive. Back then they put pies out on the windows. He'd go out and get the pies, to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so his aunt and uncle lived in our local town, Humiston, and didn't have no children and had money, like I say. And so she wrote him a letter to see if his aunt and uncle would adopt him. And so his aunt wrote back and said, no, said, we will not adopt him, but we will take him and raise him as our own child. That way he can keep his surname.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, another letter went, well, they would send, I think it was $35 for him for her to get him a ticket on the train
Oh, yeah.
to get back to Hummers. Well, here this young kid couldn't buy a ticket. He had to have a tag on him, had baggage, had to ride in the baggage car.
Oh.
And so you know about how scared a little kid would be.
Oh, I can't
And so
imagine.
the conductor felt sorry for him. Well, the conductor would leave a town, and the conductor would go back in the baggage car and tell him that you sit in that seat in that back car right there. And he said, when we come to the next town, you have to get back in there again. He said, I'll get fired. So that's how he got to Iowa. Never knew his aunt and uncle, never had seen him, had no idea where he's going,
Oh my gosh.
and a little tiny kid. So his aunt and uncle took him and raised him like his own, and that's how we quote got into Iowa.
Wow.
Such. So, and he died in '84. He was 91 years old.
Wow.
And so that's kind of some of our story.
Yeah. That's amazing.
At the turn of the century, move like that with a young kid across the country by itself.
Wow.
That's
Yep.
That's incredible.
but they raised him as their own, and I guess they send him to school. And
Oh yeah.
yeah,
And of course, Coke out there in Nebraska, hadn't really gone to school as such. So they had to, he might have went, maybe a little bit, but not much. And so coming back to Iowa, he had to take a test to see what grade he was in. Well, they jumped him a grade because of his intelligence. And so he went ahead and went to school and graduated. And there was 13 in his class. He graduated May 13th, 1300 hours, 1913. And Dad always says 13 was his lucky number.
just letting them
Yes, I
know
would
it.
say so.
So anyway, that's kind of how that goes.
Wow.
Wow.
And then me, we got 3 children, and the first boy was born on my birthday, same day,
Oh, that's cool.
and different years, of course,
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
month, the same
Wow.
day.
Wow.
Yeah.
And to this, when we went to get Social Security numbers, we had a 2.5 years wait to try to get one because they'd send back thinking I was trying to get another Social Security number.
Right.
Because I'm the one that had to sign it with his same name and same address.
Yes.
So we finally had to go get a certified registered birth certificate
Oh, yeah.
and
Get
send
it taken
in.
care of, yeah.
Oh, my
So-
gosh.
That's a great story.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah,
So you got grandkids?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we got 5, let's see, 3, 4, 5 that we see and 3 that we can't.
Yeah. Man.
Bad deal.
Yeah. It happens.
Yeah.
So,
So what other so you've got this conference. Are you staying through till tomorrow?
Yeah, we go home tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah. That's when we're heading home.
Hopefully we got good airport connections.
Yeah.
Seems like this time of the year there's always bad weather somewhere, or we gotta hit another plane or something.
Yeah.
Just the other day, coming down, I left Savannah and the lady that checking the tickets out, she said, "I hope you guys get out of here before this storm hits." So she looked down my name tag. She didn't know what to think. I mean,
Yeah. Raymond
and
Storm.
so I said, "I hope we do too."
Yeah.
and our administrator was coming in just a little bit after that, and he ended up in Alabama. I got here at 3:30, and he got here at 1:30 the next morning,
Oh wow.
my.
and sat on a plane all afternoon.
Yeah, those tornadoes hit all through that area, and that's
And so,
we deal with that in Arkansas. Yeah. Yeah, now it's turning cold, so
Yeah.
we're gonna head
well, I
back.
see on TV last night, well, we're going to have darn cold weather up in Southern Iowa
Yeah.
this next week.
Mhm.
So, but it's that time of year.
Yeah.
If you don't like today, stick around. Tomorrow will be different.
That's right. It'll change.
It may not be
Yep.
any better, but it'll be different.
That's it.
Yeah. That's
Well,
how
that is awesome.
that's how Southern Arkansas goes too.
That's cool.
What? Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, buddy. Kevin's been after me to
He told us.
start writing.
He told me not to tell you, but I'm gonna tell you that he told us to get you over here.
Yeah,
That's right.
That's
Well,
good.
and I think he's on the right track. I think
Kevin.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you.
writing down your stories and sharing them with other folks, I will tell you.
I can't spell, but I sure the heck can tell if you made a mistake. Spelling,
Yeah.
but I can't spell myself,
Yeah.
Yeah, but-
and that's just the way I am.
Yeah, no, that's
And and anyway, like I say, Kevin, he's been after me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Like this.
with today's technology, all you got to do is speak it, get
Yeah.
somebody else to type it out
That's
for
what he
you.
said. That's what he
Yep.
said. So.
Yeah.
But
You know, everything he touches, he knows what he's talking about. He reaches a lot of people.
yeah, he does. And he grew up in tough times.
Yeah.
And if you grew up in tough times, you have a little more appreciation for a lot of stuff. You have
Absolutely.
some depreciation, but you have a lot more appreciation
Yeah.
for a lot of stuff.
Especially when you make it through it like he is. Yeah. You make it through it, and then you.
Yep. Well, and I truly believe that's why, you know, some of the stories you just sat here and told us,
Yeah, one of them.
you touch a lot of people. You really will.
Yeah, I've touched a lot of people, but I'm a young generation in an old generation because Dad was 57 years old when I was born, and then there's two below me, and we was hard up, so we never done no society. We go visit my aunt and uncle. Well, of course, they was all over. And then some of them started having children about our age, but we couldn't get together but what was always fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, it just part of, I don't know how to say it, growing up or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I say, we as a family never had no society, so consequently, you go in the house or at night or something like the only touch of the outer world was what was said in the house.
Yeah.
And so you remember these stories
Yeah.
Yeah.
as such. And one side of my family came over during the Civil War, actually on the Underground Railroad as such. And so the whole family's been through a lot. And in the early days, why Revolutionary War and the Indian Wars and what have you, a lot of them was fought on my people prison ground in Amsterdam. So, and my granddad's side, they got figured out in 1662, but my nephew was doing work on my grandmother's side of Dad's. I mean, Dad's mother's side.
Right.
And they think that they came over here in '54 as English. Our people were Vikings out of Amsterdam. So, just think what this country would have looked like then.
Oh yeah. I can imagine.
And you take like Dad there, went to horse and buggy, went to trains, went to autos, went to airplanes, went to people in space
Yeah.
in his lifespan.
Yeah.
Of course, my lifespan's about over, but what's the next generation going to do?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I always think that about myself. I'm just 47. But, you know, I had a black and white TV. We had one telephone in the
Yep.
kitchen.
We had one too that went like
Yeah,
that.
that's it.
And we had lights, you went out and
Yeah,
we had,
yeah. My grandfather, he grew up in Independence, Missouri.
yeah,
And he delivered groceries to AESA Truman during the Depression. You know, and he tells me stories. You know, they didn't have running water in the house.
no, you didn't. We had running water out the back door.
That's right. That's what.
Downhill. If
No, it was
was-
right out. Because
Was it right out?
the platform even was, he stepped up like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But the well was on this big platform.
Yeah.
You run out there and get pump water and run back in.
Yeah.
And but anyway, we didn't have electricity until I was, I think 7.
Yeah.
Went to country school 9 years, and never had no electricity there until we got it at home.
Mm-hmm.
And lived on a mud road. And
And I bet a bus didn't pick you up and take you to school either. did
no,
it?
no.
And there wasn't any air conditioning. Well, they don't want any air
Well,
conditioning
it
anyway.
wasn't. You open the windows. It was.
That's right.
But anyway, we lived on a kind of heavy travel road.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not real like today, but back then, and very seldom would we ever walk to school. We'd ride the bicycles after we got older.
Yeah.
But Mom and Dad was always afraid that some idiot was going to run over us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we lived on a flat stretch there that they could get going pretty fast, some of them old cars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so anyway, we never really walked, say, very much. I remember going once or twice to the team wagon, and I remember going once or twice to tractor. But other than that, why? And then our teacher for the country school come out of Hamilton, which she had to go by home, so Dad made arrangements for her to pick us up all the time. Well,
Yeah.
no money exchanged hands, but there's always a calf or something, butchered sometime during the year, or a pig or something. He'd share it with her, so. But then when it come time for high school, why, we was going to high school in '55, and the transition then was to, if you didn't go to your district, you had to pay tuition. Well, all my other brothers and Dad had graduated at Humison, and we was a mile over the line. And he wanted us to have ag, which the other district didn't have ag. So he had several meetings with the board. Finally, he come home one night and said, well, we'd be able to go to Humison without paying tuition. But the bus had to come in the other direction, down the mud road, and then hit our rock road for half a mile, and then go back that same way.
Yeah.
Well, if you got on the bus and happened to be too muddy when you got out there to get down that mud road, you walked that mile home, or else somebody would come from home, get us to the schoolhouse.
Yeah.
So, and there's no cell phone to call anybody to tell you, come get me, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So, but older brothers, one of them rode a horse to school, and the other one rode a bicycle, and the other one rode a bicycle some, but he was a pretty good athlete, and he walked and run a lot
Oh yeah.
to school.
Yeah.
Cut through the country, through the fields.
Yeah.
And so, I found quite a change in agriculture myself.
Sure.
Yeah, I think Kevin's right on the money. with I think you need to get your stories down there.
Well,
'Cause
Dad started out as a bookkeeper for a Hawkeye Lumber Company, which was a big company back then. As bookkeeper, and then when he graduated, why, they sent him to another town to be bookkeeper, and then a better job come up at another town, so sent him over there, and he's bookkeeper and manager. And he wanted his stepdad and mom was getting bad health, so he wanted to get closer to home. So they told him to open the place there in our town never opened up. Well, he wanted a chance at it.
Yeah.
So he ended up getting it. Well, he always wanted to farm, and so, but he wasn't going. He wanted to buy a tractor to start farming, but he wasn't buying it till he had the money saved to do it.
Right.
Well, he had already had three kids, and what have you, in hard times. So he saved money. In 1928, he bought an old regular farm home, and a cultivator, and a mower machine, and a plow, and went out and started farming.
Yeah.
First regular tractor in our township, that county.
Wow.
And like I said, 1928, and his friends all give him 6 months. Well, like I say, he died in 84 and he's still out there.
It's an extended
And I'm
6
not going to
months.
say he wasn't broke several times.
Sure.
But still he wasn't broke at heart.
Right. Yeah.
And so anyway, that's the history of our farm. So our farm is 141 years old. I'm the third person on the abstract.
Wow.
And I get ticked off. You go to these meetings and people get up and talk about, well, this is a 6th generation farmer farming this land. Well, I heard about all I could stand of that, so this one guy gave a big speech one night about it. After the speech, well, I got up and went over to him. I said, buddy, I said, you know something? He said, what? I said, you guys pissed me off. He said, what do you mean? I said, you blow about this guy being a 6th generation farmer. I said, I'm the 3rd generation on the farm, and I'm the 3rd on the abstract.
Yeah.
He just stood there. I mean, he didn't know what to say. And it is disgusting as such to hear him blow about 5th or 6th generation farmer on the same homestead, which is it's good, but it's also disgusting
Yeah.
because they're probably 7th or 8th or 10th on the abstract, even if they're on the abstract.
Right.
So,
It was funny to talk about that. It didn't break his heart. Kevin says it all the time, and I'm a true believer of it. You got to get past that fear of failure.
oh yeah.
My grandfather said, hey, I went bankrupt 4 or 5 times, and you get up the next morning and you start working again. And that's just what you do. That's the thing I think we have to teach these kids too. Is It's okay to fail.
Yeah. If you don't feel you're not doing it on anything,
That's right.
That's right. Right.
or not trying to do anything.
Right.
So,
As long as you learn from the failures. If
and you don't have to learn very much.
No, you don't. Just enough to not make the exact same mistake. Now, you still may fail 900 times,
Yeah.
but as long as you learn from every
900
time you
new
fail.
things.
That's right.
So, and yeah, I'm old. I'm still learning.
Yeah,
I mean, no matter what.
that's right.
And technology fascinates
That's
me.
Yeah.
And if I'd probably 30 or 40 years younger, I could be like Kevin.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm good at math.
Yeah.
And they always claim anybody good at math is a good
Pretty much.
technology.
Yeah, sure.
My youngest son is a computer nut. He works out of Dallas,
Oh, yeah.
and he goes all over the United States and a bunch of foreign countries setting up programs and reviewing programs and makes more money in one day than I make 365 days.
That's
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's no rhyme or reason.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's not.
I mean, yeah, he's lucky, but he went through a lot to get there.